Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video. Today I wanted to talk a bit about, do you think mobile is going to have a big impact on old school RuneScape? Mobile for old school RuneScape has been in development for quite a while now. It's like a year delayed almost, but is it going to be worth it for the game? So to start off here, old school RuneScape on mobile is kind of the first MMORPG on the phone that is not pay to win and the kind of first of its kind. There are of course other MMOs on your phone, however most of those are mobile only games. This is probably one of the first MMORPGs that is accessible from a desktop as well as a phone, and is going to be missing all of those classic pay to win or microtransaction elements that are normally in games on your phone. Mobile runs very well on a technical level. The mobile team did an excellent job of porting it to your phone, so anyone who actually is going to play the game is going to have a reasonably good experience from a technical standpoint. It runs very smoothly on most phones. The way the gestures are implemented into the client are pretty natural, and overall I think it was just a very good job at porting it. One other thing worth mentioning is the graphics for old school RuneScape are going to hold up a little bit better to criticism when you're considering the realm of mobile games. While phones have been exponentially getting better every single year, they're still leagues behind PC games, clearly. So a game like old school RuneScape that can run on like a calculator now doesn't look so bad when you're playing it on your phone, and the graphics themselves almost seem more like a mobile game nowadays. Now another thing that RuneScape has going for it is of course that it is kind of a household name. So many people have heard of RuneScape because it's been around so long, it was immensely popular, and has fallen a little bit into pop culture. Now one comparison I hear a lot is comparing old school RuneScape to Pokemon Go and how popular and wildly successful that Pokemon Go was when it released. I wouldn't expect anything like that to happen. For me, I think the reason that Pokemon Go was that popular was a combination of, yes, it was Pokemon, which was a branded name that literally everybody knew about, but also the type of gameplay really hadn't been explored that much. I think it was just a combination made it for a successful game, not just necessarily because it was Pokemon. That being said, as I mentioned earlier, everyone knows about RuneScape, so if they see it in the App Store, I think a lot of people will at least give it a try, which will give the game an initial surge of a ton of players, would be my prediction. Now whether they stay around for any period of time, that is going to be hard to tell. One other thing I've noticed is that old school RuneScape has been advertising quite a bit lately. I've seen a ton of ads on YouTube, sponsored spots on YouTube channels, and of course people just straight up downloading it through the App Store. Apparently in some regions it's reached the top of certain categories, so we'll have to see if that is paying off. So now what does mobile have going against it? Well, I think one of the largest and primary things going against it right now is that new player burnout. I think is going to be very rapid and extensive. As I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of new players are going to come to the game, but will they stick around? Old school RuneScape or RuneScape in general can be very overwhelming because a lot of the goals are extremely late game and probably not very tangible for a new player, and the information a lot of us take for granted they just won't have. I sometimes find it difficult to set goals for my account, and I played this game for 10 or 15 years or whatever and have all this information I know about. If you know absolutely nothing about the game, it can be very hard to decide what you're going to do next. The old school RuneScape free-to-play experience is not that great either. There are a ton of bots. Obviously the content's limited, although I don't think that's a huge issue. The direction you get off Tutorial Island is not that great. The tutorial is good, and I think one of the coolest parts of RuneScape is that you don't have a specific task you need to do and you can do absolutely anything. However, I think giving a little more information for absolutely new players, especially those coming from mobile. Old school RuneScape is also fundamentally a very grindy game, which is not really in line with how most mobile games are, which will be another large reason for player burnout. People who play video games on their phone have been pretty much led to believe the only game you can play are those that give you instant gratification. Pretty much any mobile game is trying so hard to keep your attention, because when you're playing on your phone, you're usually out of your house, there's other stuff going on, and you can't really give the mobile game your full attention, so you have to make it simple or one you just don't have to interact with a lot. So playing more intensive activities on mobile is going to be kind of hard, and I have experienced that myself. Playing RuneScape on your phone, doing AFK activities will be fine, of course. Doing any extensive quests or bossing is possible, but it requires so much focus. Unless you're actually at home playing on your phone, it's going to be very challenging to do so, and if you're at home, you probably can just play on your computer anyway. This game can have a pretty big learning curve as well. It's not that complex on the surface. There's just so much information you need to remember, and that information is just not available in the main client. Yes, you could go to the wiki and look it up, but going and seeking additional resources for a game is normally something you do after you're already hooked on it or been playing it for a long time and want to delve deeper into it. One last thing that mobile has going against it is the membership cost. $11 a month really does not coincide with most mobile games. I get it's kind of the first of its kind, It's not the same thing as paying $11 a month for your mobile game, but asking new players to pay $11 a month for a game they don't even know about is going to be a hard ask. So what are some suggestions to help fix some of these issues? One suggestion I read a while ago is giving a reward of like a 3 or 4 day bond for completing all of the free-to-play quests. Maybe you get it after you complete Dragon Slayer. I understand this could have some issues with botters taking advantage of it, but it could be a limited time offer. I'll only make it for a few days and see if they like the game. Also, just generally adding in more early game content to free to play is going to be pretty important, and possibly a more extended tutorial once you get off Tutorial Island to maybe give people some early guidance that will probably be needed to keep them around. Like when you think of other mobile games, they just literally tell you where to click for the first hour of the game. You don't have to think at all. I'm not saying we go that far, but a little more guidance probably couldn't hurt for brand new players. So is mobile going to have a long-term impact on the old school RuneScape player base? I'm optimistic. However, my guess would be probably not that much. I think mobile is going to be more of a product used by existing players to augment their experience or just be able to play on the road. I'm not saying it's not going to bring in new players, and there is still a potential that it could have a large effect. I think it's just as likely that we'll get a huge resurgence of players for the first month or two and then die off. However, that is what people said about old school RuneScape in the first place, so I'm optimistic and I'm excited for October 30th. Anyway, what do you guys think? I would appreciate it if you left a comment down below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.